everyone, it's Sylvia here from Casino Library and welcome to Tangles on Tuesday. In this series, we're going to take you through the process of creating beautiful art pieces known as Zentangle.
Hello Tanglers, happy Tuesday to you all. It's Mental Health Month during October and Zentangle is a great way to relax, to unwind, to slow down your mind and your thinking, and I find it very self-soothing. So I thought for today I'm going to look at what happens when you just can't decide what you want to tangle, or you want to draw but you don't know what to draw, no matter how many tangles you look at and all the ones we've learnt. So I've started with my 3.5 by 3.5 inch tile. I've placed my 4 dots in the corners and drawn in my border, and I still don't know what I want to draw today. So I've decided just to go through the process of drawing lines and see where that takes us. So I'm going to just draw a line through my string like that. Then I'm going to place some dots along that line, one in the corner. They don't have to be evenly spaced, just anywhere along your string that you've just drawn. So it looks like that. Now I'm simply going to draw lines from each dot, joining them. So just some gentle curving lines. So just starting out like that, and I'm going to aura them as many times as you like, whatever you are happy with, whatever you like the look of. So I've done my first lot of lines. I'm going to work my way along the string, and now I'm going to work with these 2 dots, that area there. And your lines can have any sort of movement in them. I've added a little bit of wave to these ones, and I'm just going to aura those until I'm happy with what I've got happening there. Again, no rules, no right or wrong, just drawing lines. And it's interesting when you do this to see what you come up with, because as you work more and more lines, you will begin to see perhaps flowers or rocks. You may see something within those lines. So that's all I'm doing, because as I said, I really didn't know what I wanted to draw today, and time is ticking, and I thought I'm just going to draw lines. That's all I'm doing. So I'm going to work my way all along that. So I've worked my way along that string, drawing lines between each set of dots, and that's what mine's looking at. That's what mine's looking like at the moment. I'm going to add another string in, coming off anywhere along here where I've got where one of my original dots was. I'm just going to add in another one because I want to work to filling up my space. And that line can go anywhere, it can travel anywhere on my tile. But I'm just adding in some movement every time I give it a curve. You know what? I might add in a few more while we're going and just breaking up that space. Anywhere and in any direction and into any space that you want to draw it through. So that's what I've got so far, remembering that our strings are only a guide and I can add in more as I'm working along. I can have 2 strings coming out of the one spot. So the idea now is I'm going to start with one string. I'll start working on this one. I'll add my dots along as I did with this first one. I'm going to add in my lines the same way, and I'm going to vary the distance. Distance does not have to be the same, and by varying the distance we'll vary the length of my lines and the shapes that start to form in our tile. So it's the same. Just going to bring that back to the edge of my string. Add as many lines as you find visually appealing, and just keep doing that along that string, just like I have here, and just keep working along. So I've worked my way along this next string, adding in my lines between each set of dots and varying the lines. So these ones, as I came along, started about halfway along and came out and joined the dot instead of coming out fully between each of the dots. Started about halfway, and that just adds a bit of interest and movement. So that's the idea now, to add our dots on the remaining strings, add in the lines like we've done here, and then we'll come back and see what that's looking like and where we're going to take it to from there. So there we are. I've come along each of my strings and worked lines in between the dots that I placed along the strings. You might say it looks like a mishmash of tied up balloons, those balloons that you use to tie dogs and all sorts of clever things that people do. But we'll keep working with it, and I promise you it won't look like that in the end. So now it's just a process of coming back and working my way and adding in more lines and seeing what takes place from there. If I wanted to add in more strings, I could add in another string up through here, and why not? Let's just do that and see how that looks. Add in my line, my dots, and start drawing my lines either side of the string, filling in that white space. Now it is okay to have some white space left. We don't have to do this until we've entirely covered our working space, but each one will be different, and you will know when you've got enough there and you want to stop. Okay, so now I'm going to come back with the first one I did and add a few extra lines either side of each of those, and that's the process we will continue with until some of them may start to look a bit full and you don't want to add any more lines to them. So perhaps this one might be looking full enough now, and I'll keep working along and just adding in a few extra lines until each one looks full enough, and then I decide where to go from there. So where this one is meeting this one, I don't want to keep filling this one out without adding to this one at the same time, because that way they will grow in size together and I will have a better idea of where I want them to stop, but I'll also have a better finish because my lines will work alternatively to each other, so that it's not filling out in one direction and looking a bit wonky or unbalanced, or like one got squished in there by mistake. But there are no mistakes, as we know, and that's one thing that Zentangle teaches us, is there are no mistakes. So if we do something that we're not quite happy with, we learn to accept it and embrace it and work it into our finished piece. So just working your way through all of those adding in extra lines to fill them out as much or as little as you would like, and until you're happy with it. So each time I draw a line, as here, where I've drawn a line and that meets a string that's running the other way, I'll add a line here and I'll add a line here. And I'll keep doing that as it fills in the space and getting an idea of when I want to actually stop filling that particular space in. So that's what I'm going to keep doing, working on each of those strings and each of those sections of lines and adding a couple more lines to each side of them and coming back and seeing how that's looking. So here we are. I've worked my way around several times, adding in lines and filling in each of these sections just to give them some more fullness. Now I'm getting close to having these areas filled in, and this is where I'm taking a look at this and deciding whether I want to keep adding my lines or I just want to stop and leave it as it is. When I step back and have a look at what's happening here, I can see what reminds me of a French penny. So a flower formation here, this being the center and the 4 petals. So I'm going to look at whether I need to add to any of those petals some extra lines to really bring that into light. And I've got something similar happening here and here and through here. A little abstract, but that's the idea of Zentangle. I'm not trying to draw anything that is definite by any means. So here and here, here, here. I can see these flowers taking shape totally by random. I love how these lines merged and it looks like they've folded or twisted together. So each time you do this, you will get something totally different. So what I might do is, if I wanted to, I could add another couple of strings in. If I wanted to, say, grow this flower here, I could add a string through here and through here to give that 2 more petals to bring that out. So that's something I might do, I think. So taking a look at that, I'm going to work from where my center would have been originally and coming down just into there. So coming down into there. And my other petal, I think, will be a string line up through here. And then I'm just starting adding my lines in as we did at the beginning, and we'll see what that looks like. So it really is just drawing lines, nothing definite, they're just echoing each other and seeing what you come up with. And as I said, there are times where you want to create or you want to sit down and do some tangling, or you just can't seem to settle your mind to it. You're not quite in the right frame and you're trying to force it to happen. That's when things usually happen, but they don't have the best outcome that we hoped for. So this is where I will sit and I will just draw lines. Just drawing, because I have that urge to be creating something, but not something as defined as the tangles we've been learning. So there, by adding in those extra strings either side and adding my lines, I've brought out another abstract looking flower, and I may just continue to fill that a little more, I think, just to see what happens, but remembering that I'm also working, so where this line's meeting this tangle here, I can choose to either keep going just with this petal and have it look like it's pushing through, like I did with these ones here. It was as if by keeping on with those lines following through, it's like it created these worm tunnels or wormholes that are pushing through. So you do get quite varied effects depending on the number of lines that you're adding to each section and how evenly you add them. So whether you continue to add them in order or in a sequence, or whether you decide just to bring in a few extra lines off one of those so it looks like that particular section is, as I said, it's like it's pushing through, forming its own little tunnel through there. But you will know instinctively what you want to do. So I've pushed that petal through to about there, and this one's pushed through, this one I've pushed through, this one I may just add a few more lines into these others to keep it just to keep those other ones as if they're growing towards each other as well. And just keep turning your tile. You will so know what to do. Okay, so they've just grown and filled, grown and filled. So this bottom, or this section here, I kept bringing these two across with the lines rather than continuing this down too far, because this is part of my flower that I can see in here, and I didn't want that to be too out of proportion with the rest of this. And I'll keep bringing this along a little bit, but mainly these two I'm going to keep working on and bringing them out. And you can see that by just changing the direction a little bit, it's as if they're curving and coming up in around there. Like they really are worming their way through. There you go. And that section's finished. So I've just continued them, bringing them up and around. Purely unplanned. That's just the way it's turned out. So this section here where I've got a small piece, again I could leave it, but I think what we'll do is just a couple of more lines of each of these. We'll see that. We'll see that complete. So that's all I'm doing, is drawing in lines. You can see here I've got what I call my flower, and this one's kind of worming its way down through here, and this may follow. I won't know till I start adding my lines to them, so let's just do that. And this is the same as any other Zentangle. You're turning your tile, having it in the position that's right for you. And that one is almost going to peter out. And I'm just going to keep bringing it around. So you can see where this one just about petered out, and I decided to bring it around and tuck it in under here. That's just how it wanted to form. That's all it is. They're only lines. It's only pen and paper. You can't wreck anything. Same here. I'll just keep filling this out. Each of those sections there, and we'll see what it looks like when it's finished. So here we are. I've got my tile finished. And it really is just a simple process. Just drawing those lines and filling out until you feel that you're happy with how it looks. I ended up filling all my spaces. You can see through here where I've extended these lines. It's almost like they're forming little tunnels or wormholes. This one actually comes around and curves in under there, extending them wherever you feel that you want to. I've gone around with my 0.4 pen and highlighted the petals on my flowers that I could see in my finished line work, and you'll see all sorts of things in your line work. Like I said, it's like seeing pictures in clouds. Everyone sees something different. You could shade or add some coloured pencil if you wanted to your lines or to your flowers, anywhere that you wanted to. So that's just a really simple process for slowing down your thinking, calming your mind, just something very peaceful and calming that you can do. So I've done a couple of others some time ago just to show you some difference. So this one, I had much bigger sections that I were drawing my lines in, and then I shaded in the white area with my Sharpie pen because it was quite a large area to shade. Just shows you the different things that you can come up with. And this one here is another one I did recently, just trying to get a hang of it, and got all sorts of things happening in this one. What I did with my white spaces was did the aura like we do with Crescent Moon, where I just kept repeating that shape with auras until I had the space filled. And again, you could go around and highlight any particular lines or areas that you want to. So that just gives you an idea of the different endings you can come up with when you're having a play with that particular technique, which is just to simply draw some lines. So this is the challenge tile and string that I left for you last week. How did you go with it? Here's what I came up with. A mix of tangles. I included our 4 corners that we learnt last week. Holly bar, which was the very first tangle we learnt. Some paradox. Some cruffle with flaws in the background. Some poke root. Some batweed. And I added some stipple in the petals of my 4 corners and through my holly bar just here. So I hope you had fun with that. Please do upload your challenge tiles in the comments below. We do enjoy seeing what you've been creating. Here's your challenge tile for next week based on today's workshop, which is just to draw lines. So all I've done is given you a border with some strings in it to get you started. So you'll go along your lines and add your dots at intervals, and then just start drawing those lines either side of your string and filling them out as much or as little as you like until you come up with something quite unique. So that's your string, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.
In the comments below, you'll find a link to the practice sheet that I've been using here today. You'll also find a link to this week's challenge tile. If you're unable to access these from your computer at home, we'll make some packs available. All you have to do is give us a call on 666 00 250 and give us a day or two to get those ready for you. That pack will also include some pre-cut 3.5 by 3.5 inch tiles to get you started. And remember, if you'd like to receive instant updates when new content is added to our YouTube channel, please click the subscribe button. Thanks for joining us here today, and we'll see you next week for another Tangles on Tuesday.